Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and this is a news and notes section. Plus, we're going to go over the 2025 MCU releases and try and see what our hype meter is at, per se. And that should be fun. Love talking about the MCU. It's great that we're finally getting MCU content in bulk again. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll delve more into that in a second. But in the meantime, patreon.com/MC University Pod, we could get our bonus content, such as we are doing John Wick, the film series, coming soon to a podcast Patreon near you. And then also subscriber mailbag, other things along those lines. We talked to Jeremy Taché last week, in addition to our conversation about the election. If you're interested in that type of thing, $3 for that. And get our Discord, our backlog of episodes, which includes the Mission Impossible franchise, which, by the way, released an incredible trailer the other day. My gosh, the onions were being cut. Something was happening with my eyes. I don't know what, but yes, Tom Cruise is back with the gang, so we got that going on. But yeah, appreciate everybody for supporting and listening. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. And with that being said, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
Excited to do one of these again. I always love a good news and notes. It's a good way just to chat and just catch up on everything that's been going on. Because there's always a lot of news, always a lot of notes.
Yes, and initially I had a plan to get into some things, and I will. But Jake, before we started this recording, you told me you have a surprise that I know nothing about.
Okay, so this is a quote from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on a piece about the movie Red One, okay? This has nothing to do with the MCU or superhero movies, but I feel like Dwayne Johnson saying stupid shit was a beat that we followed for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I was midway through shooting Red One, and I had an opportunity to see Oppenheimer. I watched in the IMAX theater where Christopher Nolan watches and screens his movies. Him and Emma Thomas, his wife. I even asked them to let me sit where Chris sits. They said, Chris sits here. I watched Oppenheimer. It was amazing, but I was thinking, holy shit, Red One on this screen and with this technology could be game over. I remember texting Jake Kasdan a picture of my bare chest and a picture of the screen, and we realized how cool IMAX would be.
Oh my god.
His reaction to seeing Oppenheimer was to take a photo of his chest and the screen.
He is something else, man. And by the way, see, you added those quotes. The quotes that got me nuts was seeing on video him talking about, like, oh, just imagine Red One on a screen like that. And I'm like, dog, what world you living in? Jesus.
And the bit where he's like, yeah, I've peed in some water bottle. Anyway,
Oh,
I need to bring that back because the
there's
thing
a lot
that we
going on
lost
with
when the balance of power in the DC universe did not change in his favor, we lost one of the best segments, which was just what dumb thing is The Rock doing now?
I'm sure he will continue to find a way back to this podcast in different ways, the way that he's going about his business. But yes, in the meantime, so over the weekend, we're gonna start with this first. Over the weekend, we had some trailers come out, a couple of trailers for a second trailer for Captain America Brave New World, and what was called a special look at the Thunderbolts, and which was kind of like a more extended trailer. It was almost like 4 minutes long of the Thunderbolts. I gotta say, this Thunderbolts movie has me incredibly interested.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be good. I think that's honestly, like, I could be wrong, but a thing that was really promising is that in part of this trailer, part of it was basically showing a full scene, like a minute, and it was really fun to watch. And it's not like, because you can cut up the funniest lines into a trailer, but when you show a 1 minute uninterrupted scene, the chemistry was great. Obviously, we know that Florence Pugh and David Harbour have great chemistry, but Wyatt Russell was great, and Hannah John Kamen. I think I was really excited to see her having some fun stuff to do, because you worry that a character like her, who didn't necessarily pop that much, I mean, her abilities popped, but like Ava Starr, the character, did not really pop in Ant-Man and the Wasp. You worry that she could get lost in it, but she's clearly having fun. And then, yeah, I mean, the whole, and just tonally, like, the song choice, I think, is revealing. Like, I think you can tell a lot by the way that they're presenting the movie. It's not, I think it's very wise that they are not doing the Suicide Squad-y, like, this is all the bad guys coming together, because the MCU is not really like that. Most of these characters are not out-and-out bad guys, Like, every single one of them is redeemable in some way. I would say John Walker is the least redeemable, But even he like is even he like, it's not
Yeah.
he's not like the bad guys in the Suicide Squad.
Right, right, exactly. And yeah, I think from the outset when we look at the idea of let's center this around Florence Pugh, let's make
Mhm,
this her vehicle and have everybody kind of play off her. I think that's a beautiful choice. It seems like they're doing so far. And then I think with this particular teaser, I think just getting the idea of everybody, to your point, seeing these different characters, have them show a little bit of their personalities kind of grow in this. And then obviously we haven't seen Bucky in a while, so it's nice to see
mhm,
him, and
mhm,
it's nice that they show him being more involved in the
mhm.
proceedings. So I like that generally, and I think honestly, like Thunderbolts, to me, it's not in the sense the hype meter of like, oh my god, this is
No.
gonna change the MCU or anything, but I just think it's gonna be a really fun movie that leaves you when you leave the theater, like I had a good fucking time watching it.
Yeah, I think that the MCU needs that. They need the consistency back. Not once again, I've liked a lot of movies, but I think that like they need to show that they can make a movie that is really entertaining to watch, is not all up in lore, and is not like that. Because I think what they've really lost, and you can tell this by the box office numbers, is like the MCU has had trouble. The Marvel should have been this, but that was a disaster for other reasons. But
Right.
like putting on a movie that someone let me back up and put it this way. The MCU has
Mhm.
had problems putting out movies that someone would ever see on the second weekend. Because either you're really invested and you'll see it opening weekend, but then why on earth, like with like something like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a movie I like a lot. But if you're someone who's like a big Marvel fan, you'll want to see it opening night because there's going to be a lot of spoilers and it's going to have a lot of ramifications. But if you're
Exactly.
not a big Marvel fan, it's not the type of movie you'll be like, oh, I'll catch that a couple Sundays down the road. Whereas Thunderbolts feels like it could just be a fun movie where it's like, oh, we have a free afternoon. Let's go see that fun Marvel movie I heard about.
Yes, yes, I couldn't agree with you more on that front, and yeah, I'm fascinated to see we get that in May. The other second trailer of something that's coming a lot sooner, Captain
Mhm,
America: Brave New World, and it's so
mhm,
funny. Everything that you hear about this movie is that I don't know about this, but I
mhm,
gotta say the two trailers were really good. They kind of set the terms of
mhm,
political thriller, and this kind of leads me to where I ultimately think that the movie might fall flat
mhm.
is its lead.
Yeah, I think that all of the stuff that I seen, I'm like, this is an interesting idea for a movie. If someone not named Anthony Mackie was the star of it,
I don't know, man.
like,
It's
eh,
so tough.
it's like Muggsy Bogues is in the dunk contest. He has his strengths, but like, he's not. This is not. He's going against Harrison Ford, one of the greatest, like unequivocally, no hyperbole, one of the greatest movie stars the Earth has ever produced. And it's just like, nah, man. Like, no, I don't. You're
And then
not
you
going to
add
tell me this guy.
Giancarlo Esposito in this as just
Mhm,
a side character, and it's like a side villain who he'll have to tangle with, and like he's gonna be getting them one liners off in a way that I don't think Mackie could stand up to it. I mean, it's funny. Like friend of the show, Howard Bryant, texted
mhm.
me that evening when the trailer came out, and he goes, "You think Checker stands a chance against these people?" And I'm like, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be
Because
tough,
like I
bro.
think the problem I think that they're having and all the things we're seeing and how they've used him recently is it's like I think that Anthony Mackie's strength as an actor is not in his like resolve. Like he's not someone who I consider like sturdy, and that of course is what Chris Evans was so good at.
Yeah,
And they keep trying to make him like stoic in these scenes to be like, I'm not Steve Rogers. That's true. And it's like, nah, man, like you're not Steve Rogers. Stop acting
no,
stoic. Like he's not like a quippy guy, but he is like his power as an actor is being kind of loose. Like he's
yeah.
good in stuff that he's able to be kind of like not
How he is in
in
press
control.
interviews. Like
Yeah.
you should they should be able to draw on that, and I feel like they're trying to make, and I think part of it is when you're really trying to focus on this is a
Hmm.
huge black character that you're trying to get over to audiences, you want to kind of signify that struggle per se, using the
Hmm.
Steve Rogers thing,
Hmm.
being undervalued and
Hmm.
viewed in a way that you can't get the job done and stuff like that. And I get it, but also I don't know if at this point in 2025
Hmm.
that's what folks, especially MCU fans, are really going to be interested in overall, especially if you cannot get over a story.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we're doing like 50,000 reshoots of this movie still. So
But can I ask you a question about the thing you're talking about with getting a black character over? Because
yeah,
it feels like that is what they're doing is a very outdated way of how I feel. I've observed black people responding to that pressure in this day and age. Like it feels like being stoic in the face of all of that is like a very like 1972 way of viewing that. Like I just don't see the strong black people in my life don't like put their head down and just like there's a humor. The fact that they're like having that where he can't be humorous or he can't be light because they need to talk about him like a going against racism, like that feels way long ago. Like that doesn't feel like the way that people actually experience the world anymore.
yeah, I think it's just difficult in the modern age to sell it. Especially the thing is, you need to go all the way if you're going to
Yeah,
do it. And it's Disney, so they're not going to go all the
yeah,
way. They're going to do the cookie cutter stuff. So if you're doing
yeah,
the cookie cutter stuff, it's never going to land with an audience, and people are never going to feel strongly about the
yeah.
character anyway. And you have to look at it simply as this: if you view this person as somebody who's going to lead the Avengers
Mm-hmm.
in Secret Wars, Doomsday, whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
want him, Captain Marvel, Spider Man, whatever. You want to put him on the front line with these folks.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a different way to do it, as opposed to like he's the upstart underdog
Yeah.
trying to show that he's a leader. And I just don't think, especially with the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and how that went to
Mm-hmm.
me anyway, that's going to be something that is going to go over well with the audience. It's just not. And honestly, it's like it's no offense to the idea. I get the
Yeah.
idea, and I appreciate that they're trying. But if you're going to do it again, you gotta go 110%. Because if you don't,
Yeah.
then guess what? People are just not gonna buy it.
Like it just feels like I think a much better version that they could do that would not feel so like didactic is like let him use the humor that he had in previous movies to like brush aside the prejudices and the things holding him back. And like because I think that that's like they want him to feel like he's like I'm gonna stand tall against all this, and it's like one, you
Yeah.
don't have the actor for that, and two, that's actually not that dramatically interesting unless you're going to like really go there.
Yeah, I think. See, the one thing I'll say that it does the what is interesting is putting this character against a character like Red Hulk. That
Yeah,
is like, oh,
yeah,
that's a real legitimate David versus Goliath scenario.
yeah,
And that you can see playing out in a fight scene that is interesting. But again, when we talk about overall story and building it,
yeah,
you could use that as the carrot to get the audience in the
yeah,
theater. But at the end of the day, what we need to see everything and everyone mean
yeah,
something and have this character be able to get things over. So again, I'm left with the question of how can this happen? I'm not
yeah.
sure.
I will say personally, the whole power scaling thing of like how is he going against the Red Hulk? It's like you bring up David versus Goliath, like yeah, that's what makes it interesting. Like that's the thing I
Yeah.
honestly hate in comic book movie conversations. Was like, how does this lowly character fight this big guy? It's like because that's what the movie's about. Like, yeah, if it was clear from the beginning how Sam, like, if the character was more powerful on his face than Red Hulk, it wouldn't be an interesting movie. Like, I yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
100%.
yeah. But no, I mean, I'm cautiously, I'm sure there would be stuff in it that's
We're
good.
going to have such a good time reviewing
Yeah,
this
it's
movie. I
gonna be
cannot wait.
truly. I think that if we can get him on for it, Howard Bryant will have his LeBron Game 6 versus the Celtics performance probably.
Yes.
So we have that to look forward to at the very least.
100%. So that'll be fascinating to see. And then recently, the thing that we are here for, generally, actually, I almost how can I forget this news before we get into our hype meter. So we found out yesterday, good old Denzel Washington
Mhm.
is doing interviews for Gladiator 2, and all of a sudden he's reading off the list of things that he's going to do on his way towards retirement, which was an
Mhm.
official announcement that we got from him yesterday. And one of the things that he mentioned was that Ryan Coogler was writing a role for him in Black Panther 3. Uh, Jake, I gotta say, I did not expect this. This has kind of been the fantasy booking
Yeah.
of Marvel fans for the longest.
Yeah.
Denzel in a Marvel movie. How you
Yeah.
feeling?
I mean, it's the best because the thing about Denzel is because I was having a discussion about this with a friend. About him doing it. It's like Denzel has done a lot of trash, so like a Marvel movie is not beneath him. I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind. Like
Right.
I've seen Virtuosity multiple times. A Marvel movie is definitely in his wheelhouse. But I think that I am so happy that it's going to be with Ryan Coogler
Yeah.
because I trust that Denzel trusts him to do it, you know? Because like you could get half-assed Denzel, which is better than most actors, but like that's not really what I want if he's gonna do a Marvel movie. And like obviously Ryan Coogler has an immense respect for him. I don't even need to check. Of course he does. He's a human being. But yeah, I just think that having that one makes me really excited for Black Panther 3. Not that I wasn't excited, but like you do wonder if this franchise is kind of unmoored, what is the direction of the third one going to be? Because the second one was obviously such a response to Chadwick Boseman's death. So like
Right.
the third is kind of a blank slate. We don't know what's going to be. And just the idea that he's going to have a role written for him, and the idea that he's going to have that this is part of his on his way out, that I think that it's really encouraging, I think, for what good writing and good people can do. That like when people are like, why is he doing this? Is that it's like, no. The important thing to keep in mind is he's not Denzel's not saying I'm going to do a Marvel movie. He's like, I'm going to do Black Panther 3 with Ryan Coogler. I don't think he would do it if it was not with Ryan Coogler and it was not Black Panther 3. And so it's good to know that making quality movies gives the Marvel some cachet with people still.
It adds a lot of importance to the film, no doubt, like you said. I think I mean, I said this yesterday, but yeah, there's always going to be a little part of me that's like, damn, it's so unfortunate that we lost Chadwick because I think their connection, their general connection, and just the idea of them sharing any screen time would have been something special. Just that goes without saying, but I felt like I needed to say it. But also, this is really exciting. This is kind of the stuff that you want to see. You want to see the biggest and the best throw themselves into this universe and have some fun with it. And knowing Ryan Coogler, like you said, to give him something meaty to chew on, that's just exciting on itself. And I have no doubt that he's going to be used in a very important way. And it kind of adds to the weight of what this movie can be and its potential. So I think just overall, you can't help but feel excited and just personally stoked and honestly really like in a moment of appreciation for Denzel as he rounds third base and he
Mm-hmm.
gets ready for the end. Like I think that kid that just hearing that it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I get it. You don't want to do this forever, but
Mm-hmm.
then also like knowing that he lists the stuff that he's gonna do and we have no cloak of secrecy from Marvel
Mm-hmm.
in this case. He just came out and said it that this is
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. Gives us another reason to get excited,
Yeah.
and that's just really cool overall. And I can't wait to see what Black Panther 3 got cooked up.
Do you think he's going to do an accent, or do you think they're just going to say, "Oh no, the secret Wakandan tribe of Mount Vernonia"?
Yes, that's right. Well, buddy, let me tell you, I can't wait. I gotta figure out next weekend
Yeah,
some way to get myself in a theater in Friday or
Gladiator. Yeah,
Saturday to see Gladiator
I'm gonna
2.
try. I think I'm gonna try on the Saturday to do Glicked. I'm gonna do Gladiator and then Wicked. I'm gonna try
Oh, okay.
because it
Oh
was fun.
yeah, Wicked 2.
It
That's
was
right.
fun to do Barbenheimer, and this is obviously not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I this weekend actually I did two movies in one day where I went to see Juror Number Two, Clint Eastwood's new movie at Union Square because as you know, things was playing. Then I went back to my neighborhood, ate some barbecue, and then went to see the new Robert Zemeckis movie, which is horrible. And so I like seeing two movies in one day. I might do that again. I might do a movie dinner movie. But yeah, Glicked. If anyone else wants to do it, let me know how it goes. I've heard. I mean, the fact that people are saying good things about Wicked is surprising to me, but it's exciting. So
I mean, folks is talking about them. Screener critics was talking
yeah.
about awards contender.
I
I
no,
don't
I think
know.
I think Ariana Grande I would say is actually a pretty big favorite to get nominated for a supporting actress from what I've been
Ooh,
reading. So
fascinating stuff. So
her
yeah.
Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande might both be nominated for supporting actress this year. Crazy times we live in.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see what's happening with those two movies. Yeah, I do want to see Wicked. I think that might be a Thanksgiving
Yeah,
break situation for
good,
me.
good idea because of family.
Yes, exactly. So, all right. So the main reason why we're here is during the Agatha All Along
Hmm.
finale, before you did the click on and the episode starts, the MCU kind of gave us a little bit of
Hmm.
a roadmap of what 2025 is going to be. And it's fascinating to see Kevin Feige has made some comments regarding this. Like, these are things, these projects, 9 in total, if you count the movies and the shows, that we've had shot and ready to go. And then after that, from 2026 on, they're going to do, I believe it's 3 movies and 2 shows or something along
Yeah,
those lines.
yeah.
So yeah, so they're going to do that. So 2025 is kind of going to be back to a little bit of what we experienced over the last couple of years, 2021 specifically, where we get a lot of content. And for this show's purposes,
Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait to get into it all.
Mhm.
And we're gonna start with something that's gonna premiere at the end of this year,
Mhm.
and that is the final season
Mhm.
of our favorite show, What If. What
Uh,
Jake? How you feeling about us being at the
if I
final
can
frontier?
if I can channel Dave Grohl, not in that way. I got another confession to make. I actually didn't watch the trailer. I forgot that it was up. I didn't watch it. I don't know.
You
The
didn't
thing
even
is,
need to
I'll
watch
watch
the
the show.
trailer, but
I,
yeah,
I forgot
but
to watch the trailer. Honestly, I realized as you were saying this stuff for 2025, I'm like, oh shit, I was supposed to do that before we recorded. I know that Natasha Lyonne's gonna be playing an original character. That's fun. But the thing about What If for me is, it's like I'll watch it. I'm not, I don't
mhm,
want to devote more energy to it than that. I'll discuss it. I'll like what I like. I feel like we've been fair about What If. We make jokes about it, but I feel like we've been pretty fair in terms of
mhm.
our evaluations of it. Yeah,
I actually
it is
like
what it
season
is.
two. Yeah, I actually like season two. Obviously, better than
Mm,
season one.
yeah,
For the most part, this I think more so than anything else. It's so funny when people complain on the internet about, oh well, with a show with so many possibilities, how come it doesn't go on any further? Nah, this is the right time to end it.
yeah,
I think
because it's not what the show is though. The show actually isn't that. If it was, I would agree with you, but it's not.
Yeah. So what if we'll see what happens? It's a similar drop like last year. We're
Hmm.
getting daily drops from December 22nd through the 30th. So we will review that probably after in the new year
Yeah.
and take a look at the entire season
Hmm.
and that way. But it'll be interesting to see regardless. I will just for purposes because I like to put numbers on stuff. From a 1 to 5 standpoint, I will put it at a solid 2.5.
I'll just go with a regular two. I'm not, it is what it is.
Yes, and the next thing in January 29th, we will be having the animated series The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I have to tell you cuz I'm going to give my hype meter right off the bat for this, and I got to say it's unfortunately very very low because
Yeah.
uh I would give it a 1.5. This is going to be one of
Same.
those this is going to be one of those situations where we may review the first episode and we may have to do something else just based off of the fact that the animation itself just turns me off
Yeah.
so much.
It doesn't it doesn't help that when I saw it on the schedule, I'm like, "Oh, right, that didn't get canceled." I'm like, "That didn't." I think it's just like I think it just is so detached, and I feel like we're so far away from because like the whole idea of it is that we didn't get to see the real origin story of this Peter Parker,
Right.
and I feel like this this show will be an interesting companion in like 2018, right after Spider-Man: Homecoming. But
Hmm.
now it's like, come
And
on,
then you're retcon. The thing is, you're retconning so many different versions
yeah,
of characters. Like we'll get the voice of Charlie Cox, we'll get the voice of Benedict
mhm.
Cumberbatch, and other folks, and
Yeah, and the fact we don't get Tom Holland, though, I think is a huge problem.
it's always going to be. I think that's just that's just the nature of the Marvel Sony relationship. But nonetheless, like I said, the animation for me is not like a huge deal. So I'm like kind of like, we'll
Yeah,
see,
we'll
we'll see.
see.
I'll take a look.
We'll
I'll give
talk
it a
about
shot.
at least the first episode. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, then it depends on what our schedules are like.
Exactly, exactly. So obviously, the next thing, the probably the heavy hitter in terms of TV in 2025,
Hmm.
March 4th, Daredevil Born Again. I think the
Wait, we're
cool
not doing a rating for Brave New World.
Oh, the hype meter. Oh, well, okay. So Brave New World is February 14th.
Yeah.
Um, right now I'm gonna give it a solid 3.5, just based off of
Mm.
it's an MCU movie, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to see some of the new characters they're gonna
Mhm.
bring into this. Harrison Ford playing
Mhm.
this role that fascinates me as well. So I'll go 3.5.
Yeah, I'll just go with a 3 because it's a movie and I like movies. I mean, that sounds dumb, but it's like I like the big event of having a movie to go to. And Harrison Ford really is like such a big selling point. Like, we got fucking Harrison Ford. Like, that, obviously, because it's a recasting, it's not necessarily as exciting, but like, And because Harrison Ford does do a lot more genre schlock for a paycheck. But like, it's crazy. Harrison fucking Ford is gonna be the MCU. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and it's gonna be interesting to see. So yes, Daredevil Born Again, March
Mhm,
4th. We've been getting kind of like, for the most part, like New York Comic Con had a trailer that they haven't
mhm,
made entire trailers public, but
mhm.
they've just kept them up. Like people have been screen
Yeah,
grabbing and
they know what they're
recording.
doing.
They know what they're doing as far as that's concerned. They've allowed people to see it. Obviously, people are very excited about
Mhm,
it. What I think the positioning so far of its premise is interesting is where it seems like they are separating Fisk and Matt for the
mhm,
at least for this season or for most of this season,
mhm,
them kind of agreeing to stay out of each
mhm.
other's way for the time being. That's interesting in itself because of where Fisk is positioned right
Yeah,
now. He's going to be either running for mayor or will be the mayor,
yeah.
and what that means for him. And Matt trying to adjust to kind of this new world that he's in. We saw in some of the teasers, we saw Frank Castle. That's great to see. John
Mhm.
Bernthal back. I love it. I can't say enough how excited I am for this show. This is an easy five.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's gonna
Um,
be awesome.
you just get, and especially where I get the sense that, especially after Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox talked about the reworked show,
Mhm.
how much better it felt to them
Yeah,
being able to
exactly.
do it, and how much they feel like this is going to be a story that they could carry forward.
So as you know, my favorite TV show of all time is Community, and after season 3, the creator of Community got fired, and they brought in 2 new guys. And I remember that in the lead up to season 4, the cast kept saying like, "Oh no, it's still really great. We're still having a great time. It's still really good." And then after season 4, the original creator got rehired, and then the whole cast was like, "Yeah, no offense to those guys, they were nice, but the writing wasn't good. I was crying at how much worse it was." And so I think that has given me a decent radar of how to know when people are BSing about the quality of something. And Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox really think this is great, and I trust them. Like they're not BSing about this. I think they really feel like the reworking fixed it. And if it did, good for them. I'm glad that Marvel has the money to do that, honestly, that they to throw out shit and rework it.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny when that story came out. I think the easy thing to do, which is what we did, is to be critical,
Yeah.
but
I think that's
also,
fair.
and it's fair to be critical, but I think also the opportunity to get
Mhm.
things right is just as important as anything else, as
Yeah.
opposed to something like Secret Invasion, which we know what happened there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it was understandable to be I'm not honestly not even critical necessarily, but skeptical of
Mhm.
it working because, like, basically what it's like is like if a doctor does surgery and they leave a scalpel inside someone's like chest, you want another surgery to be performed to get the scalpel out, but you don't necessarily trust the same doctor, right? Like
Right.
it's fair to be like, but we don't want this guy operating again. And so like it seems like the scalpel has been removed, the surgery's been
Yeah.
successful. And so like now I'm like, okay, they made it work. And I think at the time we even were saying this is not a good sign that they're doing this, but if they think there's a problem, I would rather you try to solve a problem than just to keep shrugging and ignoring it. Because that's I think like Marvel has also had things that have been bad because there's a clear problem in the middle of it and they just don't do anything about it.
Yeah, I think at the minimum, at least everything that you hear about allegedly the Blade movie,
Mhm.
that there is a focus to let's take the time to get things right
Mhm.
as opposed to let's just find a way to get out of it
Yeah.
in terms of just making something and putting it out for the sake of putting
Mhm.
it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just better to be that way. So yes, Daredevil's going to be that's going to be another fun time for this
Yep. Yep.
podcast as we get 9 episodes of that.
Mhm.
And we might as well while we're here do a little what's your hype level for Thunderbolts coming in May.
Honestly, a good 4.25. I'm pretty hype. I mean, I just love Flo. She's just the best.
Cheers.
And I just think that like the lack of pressure on this one can be felt that it doesn't there's not a lot of weight on it in terms of story and no one's really paying attention to it. I think that like it's not always the case, but I feel like in the MCU, like Agatha is a great example of it. Like
Mhm.
and Loki, I think also a great example of it is like if the announcement has people being like, "Oh, really? Do we really need this?" Then like the pressure's off. No one's No one's like getting. No one needs a minute-to-minute updates. No one is like, oh my god, this person's gonna be playing this character. It's like if everyone's like, we don't really need this, then the expectations are low, and I think that allows creative people to be more creative because the creative team behind Thunderbolts doesn't really need to worry that much about connecting this to the multiverse saga or whatever. They can just
Yeah.
make a fun, team up movie about some less than savory characters.
Yeah, misfits, and give them all a reason to come together and be a team. That
Mhm.
just simple stuff like that. People would be surprised how effective that
And
actually
shouts to
is.
Bob. I'm excited to see some more Bob. I really like Lewis
Oh
Pullman.
boy, yeah,
Um,
Bob is going to be a problem, man.
yeah, I mean,
Bob is going to be a problem.
I'm sad that Steven Yeun had to leave the project, but Lewis Pullman, shouts to him. Um, I don't know if he's a good nepo baby, but because he does look a lot like his dad.
Hmm.
But his dad has movie star looks. What do you want? Like that's always the thing when people talk. It's like his dad looks like a movie star, and guess what? He got his movie star face. What do you want from me?
I will give Thunderbolts a solid 4.4. I'm
Yeah.
excited for this movie. You mentioned Flo Pugh, David Harbour's Red Guardian.
Hmm.
I'm excited for that goofiness. Well,
Hmm.
hashtag Wash Agenda. We're gonna get a lot of that stuff too. So, and then
Hmm.
Bucky, love Bucky
Yeah.
being back. That's a lot of
Wait,
fun.
what was it to you that I asked jokingly how many over under a week Olga Kurylenko spent on set? Did I make that joke on here, or was it
By the
somewhere
way,
else?
you did make that joke
Okay,
on here,
sorry.
and then on top of that, that's what everybody's been saying on the internet. They say that old Tasky is about to be one of Bob's victims,
Well, I
right
mean,
off the rip.
I was saying less because she dies early, and more that she just doesn't take off the mask. But I mean, that's good work if you can get it. Shouts to her.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Salute. So the next thing that we have is coming June 24th, 2025. Ironheart
Hmm.
coming back. Obviously, this was a Coogler supervised
Hmm.
vehicle, and there's a lot of. I tell you, this is an interesting part of the MCU. Even though obviously it's been a little bit of a delay
Hmm.
since Wakanda Forever and seeing Riri Williams, but just some of the actors and some of the
Yeah.
characters, and also my little hunt for Mephisto, I think concludes in this
Hmm.
series. So I think there's just a lot of interesting stuff that I want to see how they build a show around Riri Williams with some new villains.
Yeah, I'm at like a 2.5, but that's very subject to change. Just
Hmm.
because I'm currently not sure how all of the stuff that I know about the villains and what have you is going to fit in with a Riri Williams show. And to be frank, Riri Williams did not imprint on me that much during Wakanda Forever. I think there's just so much else that needed to be done in that movie that they set her up somewhat, and I'm open to being won over by her. But I
Yeah,
leaving that movie, I was not like I really can't wait for the Riri Williams show. I know some people were. I don't want to take that from them,
of course.
but I'm curious to see how they fit Mephisto into the, young girl Iron Man show. Obviously, she's more than that, but that's what it's being sold on. I think you can meld that together, but because we don't really know that much in that regard, I mean, at least I don't.
Yeah.
2.5, and I'm very willing to move that up and down several points.
Yeah, I believe that will be a function of Anthony Ramos's character. I think
Yeah.
there will be a connection
Hmm.
between those two, and how that goes, we'll get that. But in the meantime, I will give it a solid 3.
Hmm.
I like some of the choices there. I like that we're getting Obadiah Stane's son.
Hmm.
That's gonna be something. So you have a little bit of the Iron Man stuff coming back into the fold. I like that. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Ironheart. Then I believe
Wait,
this
wait,
is
wait,
it.
wait. Riri Williams was able to build this in a dorm with a box of scraps. Sorry. Maybe I should have saved that for the actual show, but whatever.
That's great. That's great. And next we have another animated show. We got Eyes of Wakanda,
Hmm.
and this is taking place August 6th. So apparently, just the premise of this is throughout time we are
Hmm.
going to visit certain aspects of Wakanda and its warriors and its people, and get looks at their stories of what these characters tend to deal with as far as their tribe is concerned, and as far as their dealings with the world.
Hmm.
So I don't know a lot about this,
Yeah.
but I am interested in seeing the world of Wakanda. And again, this is a Ryan Coogler supervised
Yeah.
vehicle, so that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like a 2, and it'll be lower
Mhm.
if it was not Ryan Coogler. Mostly just because the different times aspect of it leaves me ambivalent because it's like, okay, is it not gonna have a narrative through line? And that always like makes me roll my eyes a little bit with the Marvel thing, where it's like, okay, is there no narrative through line because they don't want to infringe on the actual stories that are going to go on live action? But I'm definitely willing to give it a chance. And like, Ryan Coogler, I trust him. I mean, he was an executive producer on Space Jam: A New Legacy, so I only trust him so much. But I trust him to do well by Wakanda. And I think you're right. Wakanda is just such a rich and interesting place, both literally and figuratively. And so like, if you tell me like, oh, there's a great animated show about the history of Wakanda, I would believe you. So yeah, 2.5. Let me bump. I talked myself up to an extra 0.5.
I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go 3.5. The world of Wakanda is interesting. The only thing that ever upsets me about Ryan Coogler being so heavily involved in the Black Panther Wakanda stuff is that he can't be involved with almost anything else in the MCU. Because I would love for
Yeah.
him to get a take on like an Avengers film and what that would look
Mhm.
like and things along those lines. But generally for this, I have a high interest level. So there is going to be a little bit of a debate here for me as far as what's going to happen first with the Fantastic Four release date. Right
Mhm.
now, it's slated for July of
Mhm.
2025.
Mhm.
I do have a feeling that I wouldn't be surprised if it moved to a little later in the
Mhm.
year. Just because even though word is everything shooting wise is going
Mhm.
well, they're actually ahead of schedule allegedly,
Mhm.
and things and there's good vibes,
Mhm.
cast, crew,
Mhm.
nonetheless. But you always wonder with these things, especially with the terms of what is being released and everything's being released, and the fact that we're also getting Superman that
Yeah.
month. That's going to be interesting in itself. Or will they decide to go up against that? And will they decide to move it to November? But generally, my hype for Fantastic Four is a 5 because they have to get this right this time.
Yeah. Yep. 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 I think a couple of things. One, I will just say, I think the reason it's ahead of schedule is unlike previous times the MCU where they hired someone who just did like small indie movies where things are fundable. Matt Shackman is a TV guy. You know what? You
Yeah.
can't fall behind schedule. Television. You have to do an episode next week, and so I'm really that is really promising to me that they're on schedule. I think that they should move to avoid Superman, and I think that they might not because they don't want to seem scared. But the thing I would say to that is no one outside of people who read the Hollywood Reporter will think of it that way. Like
Yep.
you know who knows that Fantastic Four is coming out in July of 2025? Like 3% of the population. Like the reason I say this too is because guess what? A movie we were just alluding to earlier in the pod, Mission
Yeah.
Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One, did not do that well. You know why? Because it didn't move from it was released the week before Barbenheimer and it got screwed. I just think like just move it. Just don't worry about. There will be headlines saying Marvel scared of DC. Who gives a shit? It's money to be made.
I think I think people do. This is just my feeling individually. People do not understand the what I think the Superman movie is going to
Yep.
be. I think James Gunn is going to put out a banger.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, then it will swallow up anything that's
Yeah.
in its path during that time. So I think that's the prudent thing. I totally agree with you as far as that's concerned. So it'll be interesting to see whether they decide
Yeah.
to do that or not. But I'm still hyped
I'm
nonetheless. I
hyped.
like the cast. I like everything they got going on. They added Natasha Lyonne. That fascinates me. The Galactus stuff, that's interesting. What will be the overall look as
Mhm.
far as Doomsday is concerned? Because there's going to be a direct connection to that. That Fantastic Four has a lot of things that you can look forward to and see if they do get this right. And I mean, like you said, Matt Shackman, his general viewpoint, especially after WandaVision, interests me to see
Yeah.
what he cooks up for this.
Yeah,
So
because I think he's both someone with ideas, but he's also like a competent craftsman. And I think that when you have like because almost every director who comes into the MCU has a lot of ideas, and sometimes they get drowned out by like studio mandates. But I think what also happens is, and this is not just me trying to defend Marvel a little bit, is like if you're someone who doesn't have experience running a $200 million set, I think you can drown out your own ideas because you're more worried about getting the days done than you are putting your ideas into it. And so like I like the idea of having a guy who has ideas, but also is like competent enough to not fall behind and is competent enough to know how to get his ideas through the big machinery. And so I'm excited. And also I think the thing too is that like Fantastic Four needs to be the characters are first and foremost. Like it's not actually going to be. I want the style to be good, but
yeah,
I think it's less important than some other movies. It's like no, these four characters need to be nailed, and then we can worry about Flash or whatever. But like if you don't get these characters and the relationships correct, then what are we doing? They're the first family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. So we'll see what happens with Fantastic Four. The next thing that we got on the docket in October is Marvel Zombies, the animated series. By the way, this is only 4 episodes, just like Eyes of Wakanda. Eyes of Wakanda, I believe, is only 4 episodes. And Marvel Zombies, we're gonna have Shang-Chi, we're gonna have Miss Marvel, we're gonna have Kate Bishop, I believe, in this being kind of like the main characters with their voices.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in this world, kind of taken off from what If tried to do with its Marvel
Mm-hmm.
Zombies episode. Uh, what would your rating for this be?
1.5, maybe 1.75. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just,
I'm
I
2.
don't know. I just, if I thought that the Marvel Zombies What If episode was fun, and then like once again it's another issue of, and I know animation's so slow, so you really can't do this. But it's like, if they were to tell me 3 months after that there'd be a Marvel Zombie show, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But like, I don't know. I don't need. I'm just not that interested in that storyline. Especially if it's a What If world, like it's not tied to. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like overall, at this point, I'm kind of at just like Marvel is at the point that they're like, okay, let's end this multiverse saga as fast
yeah,
as possible so we can do other things. I'm kind of in the same place. I'm
yeah,
like, okay, I've had my fill of it. Let's get to the big shebang and see what happens after that. So yeah,
yeah.
I'll just go with 2. I do want to see the construction. I do want to see how it goes. What are they going to fit in 4 episodes? Does it make sense as a story? Just
Yeah.
my own general fascination with it. So
Yeah.
I will go with a 2
Mhm.
on this. And finally, sometime in December of 2025 is our pal Yahya Abdul Mateen as
Mhm.
one Simon Williams in Wonder Man. And I've been thinking about this show for a minute, just its construction, what they're trying to do, and also kind of its potential as it can as Wonder Man is a character that connect to many different people and places and things. But just the little footage of
Mhm.
him just trying to get a job
Mhm.
get a job as an actor, figure things out, and he's with Trevor Slattery. I'm
Mhm.
sold.
Yeah.
Give me a 5 on that one.
I'm probably like a 3.54, maybe 4. Yaya's a great actor. And I like that it's going to be an opportunity to to satirize Hollywood, and I think it's gonna be really fun. And yeah, I think like it feels also like the right stakes for a TV show. Um, like and we haven't seen much, so I don't have much more to say than that. But it's like, yeah, Trevor Slattery in the mix, a Hollywood satire, and one of the best younger actors. I mean, he's not that young, but actors under 40 around. It's exciting.
Destin Daniel Cretton is heavily involved in this one,
Hmm.
so it's a lot of his imprint. So at this point, after his work on Shang Chi, and now I'm definitely more interested in what he does with the next Spider-Man movie.
Hmm.
I am fascinated to see what they do here, and we'll talk about this on another property that I'm not ready to discuss yet. But there is a element of will they do the stuff in the comic books? This is just me speaking.
Hmm.
Will they do the stuff in the comic books where it connects with Vision
Hmm.
and Wanda? And if they decide to do that, especially with the Vision series
Hmm.
coming out the following year,
Hmm.
that will pique my interest because there's a lot of Avengers level stuff that they could sink their teeth into with these stories. So that's where my hype is to see the development of this character and
Hmm.
how it'll grow overall in the MCU. But honestly, I'll say, like from an MCU standpoint, it's nice to get. I feel charged up to
Yep.
do this show next year and just see what this new terrain is as we get closer to Avengers Doomsday. And it's going to be really fascinating to
Hmm.
watch. Any final thoughts, Jake?
No, I'm excited that we're gonna get some stuff again, and I'm excited just like to dig into it, and to yeah, to get the feeling. I think when the MCU is putting out a lot of stuff, there will always be people who are like, "Oh my god, there's too much stuff." But like when you're in
Mhm.
it, it's just fun to be along for the ride. Like it's fun to have a thing to come to talk about, and
Yeah.
it's fun to have a thing to like consume every week. It's fun to have things to look forward to. And so yeah, I think next year is gonna be a really good year for the MCU.
Yes, and I believe it'll be a good year for us as well. So I want to
Mhm.
thank everybody for listening and watching the show. Jay Christie, where can you follow? Where can we follow you?
For as long as I'm still on Twitter, you can follow me at the Jake Christie, but I'm now on Blue Sky as well, jakechristie.bluesky.social. I'm gonna stay on Twitter as long as it's around, but if it like merges with True Social, I'm gonna leave. That's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, pretty much the same for me on that front. So for right now, at Anthony Canton _3 on the Twitter, but I'll be popping up in other places. Blue Sky seems to be the thing, so
Yeah.
I've migrated over there. So you'll start seeing some more stuff from me on there. I believe it's Anthony Canton 3. If you
Hmm.
are a Blue Sky user, you
Yeah.
can check me out there. And yes, check out the show on all platforms at MC University
Hmm.
Pod. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel
Hmm.
and the patreon.com/MC University Pod for everything I listed at the top of the show. Want to thank everybody for listening and watching and supporting for the meantime, and we'll be back with you soon. For Jake Christie, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.